how concerned are you, or maybe you can even tell us based on what you're hearing, of more events like these happening around the country?
Inevitable. The air traffic controls have been warning about this. They're working without being paid. Contrast that with Speaker Johnson, who's being paid without working. The Speaker needs to call the House back into session. I will go to Washington today, probably by train, not by airplane, and start negotiating with Republicans. Before this shutdown, I offered a series of proposals to get to yes, from reversing the worst of the Medicaid cuts to funding local law enforcement to giving Congress a vote on tariffs. And it's been radio silence since then. The president and Republicans are in charge. This is their responsibility.
Well, you know, it's something. The House has been out. You probably know more than better than I, Congressman. I think 45 days since before the government actually shut down, having passed the clean CR. And the Speaker's rhetoric remains the same. We've done our job. You let us know, United States Senate, when you're ready to do yours. But we have heard that John Thune is preparing to start talks with some rank and file Democrats. Do you have any sense that that's true, or when that might start?
I do think that's true, and we need to get to yes. And again, the proposals that I and other Democrats in the House put forward are not partisan proposals. I mean, allowing Congress to vote on the tariffs, which have been the biggest tax hike in modern American history and that were imposed unilaterally and illegally by the president, is not exactly like a lefty talking point. I mean, that is just right down the middle of constitutional governance and the middle class.
Tell us more about what's happening in the air traffic control towers and what could be done to prevent massive closures. You said it's inevitable that we'd see things like this. Can anything be done to contain these ground stops at airports if, in fact, controllers stop showing up?
I don't want to conjecture. What I can say from my time talking to air traffic controllers when I was on transportation and infrastructure, the committee with jurisdiction, is that when you have these government shutdowns, the air traffic controllers will start taking other types of jobs to make ends meet and will call out in order to go to those other jobs. They got to put food on the table for their family. They got to make rent. And that will lead to staffing shortages, which creates unsafe conditions, which creates ground stops.
And here we are with potentially more in the offing. Does November 1st matter anymore, Congressman? That's open enrollment, of course, and potentially the end of some SNAP benefits, the beginning of the end. But now there are efforts to try to overcome those legislatively, at least in terms of the SNAP benefits, as another potential pain point is taken off the calendar. What do you think is going to happen when we get into the new month?
Yes, it matters. The president calls it a Democrat program, SNAP. It's not. It's a program for children. 2/3 of the recipients of SNAP are families with children. This is about kids going to school with a full belly. And illegally withholding those SNAP funds is callous and cruel.
Your governor's taking action on this, right? Is Maura Healey going to manage to bridge the gap here? Obviously, we don't know how long the gap might be, Congressman, but it looks like a lot of governors, a lot of states are stepping up.
Governor Healey's always stepping up, whether it's backfilling science funding, whether it's energy after the president arbitrarily canceled offshore wind permits, now with SNAP benefits. She's always patching holes and protecting Massachusetts, but she can't cover the full gap on SNAP. No governor can. This is a federal program. It's federally funded. It needs to be federally delivered.
As we spend time with Congressman Jake Auchincloss, we want to tap your experience, Congressman, when it comes to geopolitics and the Pentagon. Of course, you are a combat Marine veteran, and we'll remind our audience that you commanded an infantry in Helmand Province in Afghanistan in 2012, as well as a reconnaissance unit in Panama in 2014. The president yesterday, before he sat down with President Xi, took to Truth Social to talk about resuming nuclear tests here in the United States. I suspect you saw this. It's a pretty big deal, directing the Pentagon to test nuclear weapons for the first time since 1992. We're unfortunately not sure exactly how this is going to work, though. He said that testing should occur, quote, on an equal basis, unquote, with Russia and China. Is this a smart move, and what would it accomplish?
Nothing. He's trying to saber rattle to distract from the fact that he started a trade war with China, and American farmers are now losing it, because soybeans are more fungible than rare earth minerals. And so China gained leverage over the United States rapidly this summer and has now used it to cause Trump to tuck his tail between his legs. And as he always does, he's trying to strongman his way out of that perception. But anybody who's paying attention sees it. Now, here's what he should have done. He should have embarked upon a bipartisan industrial policy focused on American energy dominance, adding 2 to 4 quads of energy production per year, including the necessary control over rare earth supply chains. Number 2, he should have used targeted sanctions and tariffs for the fentanyl export issue and for critical industries, and Congress has a lot of bipartisan legislation for that. And then finally, he should have inked a TikTok deal, again, according to congressional statute, that it gives Americans control over the most important media and information platform in the world. He has failed to do all 3 of those things, and so now he's trying to blow stuff up to make himself look tough. It's not going to work.
Are you encouraged that Blackwell chips were not part of any deal making yesterday?
Well, I mean, the president took a stake in NVIDIA's export of chips to the Chinese Communist Party. So he's literally trying to give the U.S. government like equity in equipping China to leapfrog us in AI inference. It's wow. His version of state-directed capitalism is going to enrich his family, that's for sure, with their crypto schemes, probably $5 billion worth. But it's not going to be good for America Incorporated. All it's going to do is sow further uncertainty amongst investors and entrepreneurs, when what these investors and entrepreneurs really need is abundant, clean, cheap, reliable energy. And this president has been inhibiting rather than amplifying that. That should be our industrial policy. Forget all of this crony capitalism. Focus on American energy.
We could do a whole show on this, Congressman. This is fascinating to me. When it comes to the likes of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang would say, hey, if we want to win the AI race in this country, you need to get the world on the AI stack. And that, of course, runs counter to folks like yourself. Your opinions on this, where providing some of the highest end AI chips to China would, in fact, be a national security violation. Is Jensen Huang simply wrong about this?
I think Jensen Huang is talking his own book, which is what a private company CEO is going to do. The President of the United States should be looking in a long-term way about American competitiveness. And the most important questions about how the U.S. outcompetes China in science and technology are not about China. China's got 1.3 billion people. Their kids are outperforming our kids on math and science scores. They're investing huge amounts in basic research. China is going to be a powerhouse. There's nothing we can do to prevent that. What we can do is double down on what's made this country a behemoth of free enterprise. We got to double the NIH and National Science Foundation budget. We got to attract the best and brightest from the world over. We got to protect intellectual property, guarantee a sound currency, expand global markets for our entrepreneurs. It's all the stuff that's simple but not easy. And this president is replacing it with, Trump Incorporated, where if you want to do business in America, you got to buy his son's crypto coins.
You mentioned energy, Congressman. We're coming off the NVIDIA GTC conference this week here in Washington, D.C., and there's been enormous talk, of course, about harnessing clean, renewable energy for data centers that are popping up like weeds all over the country here. Some think the answer is nuclear, small modular reactors, but that could take some time. And so I'm wondering what it is you refer to. Is it natural gas? How do we get these data centers powered up without hiking electricity bills in the state of Massachusetts?
And electricity bills are going up double digits in Massachusetts and Virginia, in other states. It's going to be different in different states. Some places it might be hydro. Massachusetts offshore wind could have been part of the solution until the president canceled it. It's going to be natural gas in some areas. I think one common one, though, is next generation geothermal. You got companies like Quays, which is doing millimeter wave drilling that can go 5 to 7 miles deep, which means that it's hot everywhere. You don't have to go to Iceland, right? Anywhere you dig or drill, it's hot. And that allows us to create high baseload, affordable, reliable electricity that is clean in states across the country.
One thing that we haven't had a chance to talk about with regard to the government shutdown that ties into what we are discussing with regard to energy is heating oil assistance in Massachusetts. It's getting to be that season to fill the tank, Congressman. It already is that season in Massachusetts. It's been in the 30s in the morning recently. In our remaining moment, what will this mean for assistance in your state?
The low-income heating assistance program is a mainstay for Massachusetts families. We should expand the program, as I've consistently advocated, and ensure that families are able to keep homes warm during a New England winter. But again, that's a short-term issue. In the long term, what we need is energy independence that comes from adding more supply onto the grid. In Massachusetts, our biggest problem is not transmission, it's generation. We need next-gen geothermal, we need nuclear, we need offshore wind, we need hydro from Quebec. We need all of it and more.